Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing you how to do a manual engine start in the ToLiss Airbus A340-600. Let's get started. So first of all, you're probably very familiar with doing automatic starts on this particular aircraft. We're going to be using the FADEC control. Basically, all you have to do is pop it onto ignition, pop the engine that you want it, and everything is handled completely automatically. But sometimes you need to do a manual start. And this is especially true when you're in situations where the weather is very, very hot, if you have some kind of tailwind, if for some reason your APU isn't producing enough compressed air. And really all a manual start is all about basically motoring the engine quite a bit longer than you normally would. And as the best added bonus, you get to use both igniters at the same time instead of one, which is going to be automatically selected for you. So to do this, it's a pretty straightforward process. We're basically going to set everything up as if we're going to be doing a regular start. You can see above my head, again, we're not flying today. So what I've done here is up here, as I popped up all my fuel pumps, I've got all my electrical systems set up. I've shut off my two packs. We want as much compressed air as we possibly can. My APU is running, and I've got the APU bleed on as well. You can see that's all operable. All of my lights are set to go, and now the party is ready to start. So the way this works is a little differently than you're probably used to. What we're going to do is we're just going to come sneak down here, and we're going to go ahead and snap the engine start into the ignition start button. Freeze. Now this is where you're going to pause. Now what you're going to do is you're going to tell the FADEC, which is the engine control units, that we're more interested in doing this manually, as I was mentioning. Basically run up the N2 as high as you can. So I'm going to reach up above my head, find the engine number 3 here, open up this hatch, and press the man start on. Now, if I come down here and look in the middle, what you're going to observe is you're going to see the N3, since we have 3 spools on this engine, spinning up very, 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 very quickly. For those of you who know Airbus in the past, you would probably be well aware of the fact that when we hit about 25%, fuel will be introduced, but you'll see fuel is not introduced. We're sitting here basically running this engine at very, very high speed, and there's no party yet. And it's basically attempting to motor itself as fast as it can while hitting both igniters simultaneously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to introduce fuel by clicking on the engine master switch. When you hit on the engine master switch, when I reach back up here, you will notice fuel flow is indicated. We're getting a rise in exhaust gas temperature. The N3 is increasing on its own, and everything is starting to spin up relatively quickly. And again, this is almost like a more conventional start. But since the FADEC is being partially bypassed here, you really have to pay very close attention that all of these indications do make sense to you, that there's nothing weird going on here, that we don't have one number bigger than the other. And when the avail light finally comes on, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to reach above your head, go ahead and pop off that switch, and then spend 5 minutes trying to close that cover, because it's very awkward, as you could probably see here. And that is the process of doing a manual start. If we wanted to start engine 2, for example, we could do the exact same process. We've already got us on ignition start. We already know the switch is in the off position. As soon as you turn this on, it knows you want the manual start. So all I have to do now is if I look, you will see that the RPM is coming up for engine 2 very, very quickly, just like the other one is. Now, one of the things I find very interesting with the way that this is handled is you have some protections. If I were to come here and slam the switch on, for example, if I look up here, you'll notice that it did not actually introduce fuel, even though I hit the switch, like you would expect like on a Boeing aircraft. And again, it's basically trying to desperately motor itself even higher before fuel will automatically kick on, as you can see right there, and then the rest of the engine comes flying on with it. Again, it's that extra bit of N2, or I should say N3 on this particular aircraft, that we're getting before the party starts. And like I said, you're also getting that second igniter joining the party. Now, let's say you've done a manual start. You've got both these engines running. Everything's fine. Again, about 59%. We're going to get the big avail in a second. Yeah, there's the ding. Just to remind us that everything's okay. Like I was saying before, make sure you reach up above your head and shut that sucker off, because you don't want that just to be chilling there. We have quite a bit of compressed air in this aircraft now. As a matter of fact, if we come down here and if I type in press, you can see here, actually, that's the wrong thing we wanted to use. We actually want bleed. Thank you. You can see here our APU and our engines are producing plenty. We've got 41 PSI basically across every one of these engines right now. So that's an enormous amount of compressed air at our disposal for the purposes of starting the other 2 engines. If I wanted to start the other 2 engines the same way, or I should say without using a manual start, this switch must be off, and all I can do is go ahead and snap it into the position that I want. Now, if I pop it that way, you'll notice it's got the little box around it, and it's going to start the automatic start procedure, and it's not going to be doing any of that extra motoring. Again, it's going to introduce fuel when it feels it's right. It's only going to be using one of the 2 igniters, basically, kind of conserve it sort of a thing. And you'll see once we get to the sweet spot that everything's going to kick on just like it would have otherwise, then you would have done that manual start. Now, some people are like, is this something we're ever going to need to use in the sim? And the reality is, you're probably not going to need to use it unless you're simulating some kind of procedural component. Like I said, if you're in Egypt with a tailwind in the summer, for example, there'd definitely be a scenario where you would want to be using that for that particular purpose. Enjoy.